Good morning, students. In the previous class, we have learned about the composition of blood. So we have come to know that it consists of two parts, that is one liquid part and the cellular part. We have already completed the liquid part, that is plasma. Now we'll be starting with the cellular part. Today we'll be studying about RBCs. Alright, or another name for that is red blood cells, or also known as erythrocytes. Alright, so RBCs, red blood cells, also known as erythrocytes. So let us understand the shape. So it's a bioconcave in a shape, and it has a reason for it also why it is bioconcave. Alright, to transport maximum oxygen. Okay, it has lack of nucleus and mitochondria. So to increase the surface area and to avoid the use of oxygen. The main function of RBC is to transport oxygen to different parts of our body. Okay, so it has lack of nucleus and mitochondria, very important property of RBCs. Next now, RBCs have nucleus in the beginning, but when they start the process of transportation, means when they are transporting the process of transportation of oxygen, the nucleus degenerates because more oxygen is required, and if nucleus is present, the surface area of the RBC will be less, and for that reason that the nucleus degenerates. RBC has a pigment, presence of a pigment that is known as hemoglobin. Hemo means iron, globin means protein. So because of this is this pigment. Okay, we have iron over here, hemo, and it is responsible for dark color. All right, because of this iron, so RBC is dark color. Now this pigment, that is hemoglobin, has affinity, means affinity to attach oxygen, carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide molecules, means it has affinity to attract them. Okay, so hemoglobin present in red blood cells carries oxygen to different body cells in the form of a compound known as oxyhemoglobin. So hemoglobin plus oxygen will give you oxyhemoglobin. All right, next now, when the blood reaches the cell that needs oxygen, the oxyhemoglobin again splits into oxygen and hemoglobin. When the blood reaches the cell, wherever the cell is required, the oxyhemoglobin separates into oxygen and hemoglobin. The oxygen is retained by the cell, and the hemoglobin carries carbon dioxide from the cell to the lungs in the form of carboaminohemoglobin. All right, so means when the oxygen reaches the cell, then all right, so the oxyhemoglobin splits into oxygen and hemoglobin. All right, so oxygen is retained by the cell. All right, it is retained by the cell, and the hemoglobin carries CO2 from the cell to the lungs in the form of carboaminohemoglobin. Okay, so hemoglobin plus carbon dioxide will give you carboaminohemoglobin. Sometimes, it's not every time, but like we say poisoning and all, that is the reason of carbon monoxide. When hemoglobin plus carbon monoxide reacts, then we get carboxyhemoglobin, that is known as carbon monoxide, that is carbon monoxide poisoning. Understand this once again, hemoglobin and this one. Hemoglobin plus oxygen will give you oxyhemoglobin. When the blood reaches the cell, okay, that needs oxygen, the oxyhemoglobin again splits into oxygen and hemoglobin. The oxygen is retained by the cell, and hemoglobin carries carbon dioxide from the cell to the lungs in the form of carboaminohemoglobin. All right, very important. All right, this one is very important. We require this till class 10. So where is RBC present then? Important features of RBC now. It is present or presence the adult, bone marrow, embryo. Either it is present in liver or spleen. Lifespan is 120 days. And where it get destroyed? Destroyed in liver, spleen, or in bone marrow. So sometimes there's abnormal diseases also. Very important, we need to know this. Abnormal increase in RBCs. It is known as polycythemia. Abnormal decrease in RBC, erythropenia. One is increase, that is known as polycythemia, and decrease in RBC is known as erythropenia. Alright. So today's lesson we have learned that RBC has a special name that is known as erythrocytes, biconcave inner shape. Okay, to transport maximum oxygen, lack of nucleus and mitochondria. Alright, to increase the surface area. They have nucleus in the beginning, but when the process of transportation starts, the nucleus degenerates. It has an important pigment known as hemoglobin. Hemo means iron and globin means protein. Hemoglobin plus oxygen will give you oxyhemoglobin, and hemoglobin plus carbon dioxide will give you carboaminohemoglobin. Important features we have is where is it present in adult, bone marrow, embryo, liver or spleen. Lifespan is 120 days. Abnormal increase in RBC is known as polycythemia. Okay, polycythemia. Abnormal decrease in RBC is known as erythropenia. All right.